Today we're not teaching religion, we're teaching biology, language, and thinking. I keep seeing the same message in my DMs. God created me, and every time I read it, I realize something deeper is happening. People are using a word instead of understanding a process. So let's slow this down and actually think. Life does not come from belief. Life comes from life. Biology has a law called biogenesis. Life only comes from life. Humans are created through a living egg, a living sperm, energy, time, cellular division, DNA replication, a womb that sustains, builds, and grows life. No womb, no human, no energy, no growth, no woman, no humanity. That is not philosophy. That is biology. Women do not assist creation. They execute it. The sperm does not. Build organs, form the brain, grow the heart, create the nervous system. The sperm delivers information. The woman's body divides cells, builds tissue, grows organs, supplies energy, sustains life for 9 months. If women vanished, humanity would end in 1 generation. That alone tells you who the biological creator is. Dust cannot create life, and science agrees. The Bible says humans were made from dust. Let's evaluate that without emotion. Dust is not alive, has no DNA, has no energy system, cannot replicate, cannot grow. Life requires cells, energy, metabolism, replication. You cannot create life from something that has no life force. That's not disrespect. That's science. Now let's talk about the word create. This is where the confusion lives. Christians use the word create for everything. Who created the sun? Who created the moon? Who created the air? Who created the womb? Who created the sperm? They ask the question, but never demand an explanation. Create is not an answer. It's a placeholder saying, God created it, explains nothing. It does not explain how the sun formed nuclear fusion, how the moon formed planetary collision, how air formed chemical and biological processes, how wombs form embryonic development, how sperm is produced spermatogenesis. Science explains process. Religion often replaces process with language. What the Bible never explains, not once does the Bible explain. DNA, cells, embryology, energy transfer. Human development, because it was written before science existed as a method, it uses symbolic language, not biological instruction. The word create comes from Latin creare, to bring forth, to produce, to cause to grow. Here is the key part people skip. For something to be created, something must already exist to do the creating. Creation requires existence, energy, capacity, life, or force. You cannot create from non-existence. You cannot create from nothingness. You cannot create without being. Christians say God is a spirit. A spirit, by definition, has no physical body, has no cells, has no DNA, has no biological energy system, but life, as we observe it, requires energy transfer, cellular processes, material interaction. So here is the logical evaluation. If God created life, then God must contain life, contain energy, contain creative capacity. If God has life, then life did not begin with humans. And if life exists within God, then logically, that life had to come from somewhere, which means either God was created or the word create is being used symbolically, not literally. You cannot escape this logic by belief. Definitions still apply. If everything that creates must exist, and everything that exists must come from something, then saying God created everything does not answer the question. It moves it back 1 step. Who created the creator? If the answer is God always existed, then creation is no longer about creating. It's about existence and process, not a being snapping things into reality. Final truth. For something to be created, something must already exist. For something to create life, it must contain life. If God has life, then life did not begin with humans. And if life did not begin with humans, then creation is a process, not a command. Before any God was named, before any book was written, before any word like create existed, women were already creating life. Life does not come from dust. Life does not come from words. Life does not come from belief. Life comes from life, energy, process, and the womb. That is not opinion, that is reality.